There was an article posted about him that pretty much talked about how long he's been rapping and how consistent he's been as an MC all these times. And Skyzoo has always been an interesting conversation for me amongst my friends or homies or artists that I know who like his music. I always hear, sometimes I hear fam has gone above and beyond where I expected him to be. I hear other people say maybe fell short in his career up to this point because he didn't get a lot of notoriety, he didn't get a lot of quote unquote exposure that person felt like he should get. And some people feel like he's just been an incredibly talented MC. Since he's been putting out projects and he's been very consistent and he's dope, one of all-time greats. I always look at him as someone that I believe doesn't get a lot of props that he should get because of how consistent he is. How do y'all feel about Sky, man? Just from a standpoint of, we talk legacy a lot, and he's been rapping long enough. Jay Moore made this point where we can actually talk about his legacy and impact on the culture more on the underground, but he still is a very impactful artist. Like, when you think about Skyzoo, how do y'all see his career in terms of where he is to this point? Lone, I'll come to you first. I know we've been I think you may have even put me on Sky, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but you may have. How do you see it, man? What's your take his career and his legacy as an MC?
He's a really dope, consistent MC. I mean, he puts out back-to-back great projects. He's one of the most thought-provoking writers. From a standpoint, you always know that when you're going to listen to a Skyzoo project, you should always go into it knowing that the production is going to slap pretty heavy, especially if you like boom bap-esque beats most of the time. He's always going to be consistent with that. But also that his writing is very nuanced and it's very deep and there's layers to it. And so if you're somebody that loves the lyrical side of hip hop and loves to pick apart all that stuff, you can get lost in Skyzoo's bars. It could take you a long time to decipher stuff. But it's also delivered in a very consumable manner. It's in a way that's very easy to take in. The only knock that I would say that I've heard from people about Sky is that, he is consistent. He doesn't really switch his style up that much as far as like how he delivers, and exactly what you're going to get from him. So, that's for any individual to decide, based upon like what you like and all that good stuff. You're not going to hear him really do a lot of trap cadences and rap over trap beats. He's going to do his thing, and I think he does it really well. I don't remember when I first heard Skyzoo exactly, but it was probably 2008 or 9. So it probably wasn't me that put you, or maybe I heard about him before that. I don't know.
I feel like we talked about Cloud9, maybe. Like I said, I could be wrong, but maybe
might have been Poppy. Might have been Abe. Might have been Poppy Amon, because he was a huge fan. I know. But yeah, what I will say is that Live from the Tape Deck with him and Ill Mind was one of my favorite projects for a long time. So
you talk about slaps.
Yeah, but at the same time, so I mean, I've been listening to him for about 10 years, give or take. To me, it's kind of interesting to talk about legacies. It's really only kind of been a decade since I've really been listening to his music. But I'll let you guys talk about it.
All right, Jay Diff, jump in, man. What's your thoughts about Sky?
I think Sky is dope, man, but about the lane he's in, he hasn't tried to jump over into that mainstream, semi-mainstream lane to kind of project his career to another level. He's been cool being where he's at, and I appreciate him. A lot of people actually appreciate the chance that he takes and where he's at, because you never hear Skyzoo with mainstream artists. I know that the article or whatever you're referencing is talking about 20 years, but that's kind of like saying somebody we know from here that we may have known for 7 or 8 years, and then they make it to the next level, and a lot of more national people start paying attention to them. Then that's technically where time starts. So it's probably somebody that was around when he was making those tracks or whatnot to say 20, but I'm along the lines alone, kind of like that 10 to 12 year range as far as how long I've been messing with Sky. And I mean, he definitely has classics in his repertoire.
Talk to him.
He doesn't switch up his cadence a lot per se, but it still sounds fresh, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of people, rappers you can listen to, and they keep that same delivery, even like the newest one, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Everybody knows 𝗏𝗏𝗏 flow. It's the exact same every time, but it sounds the same every time. Somebody like Skyzoo, he can kind of keep that same cadence and delivery, but that he raps and switches it. You say switches it up because it's the same thing, but y'all kind of understand what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I follow
how he puts his words together, the stories. He even has to go back and say the shit slow sometimes. I don't know if anybody's seen him in person. He'll rap the song. He'll be like, I want y'all to really listen to this shit. He'll slow down exactly what he's saying.
Yep.
Those that didn't catch it. And I mean, dude is dope, man. He's an artist. He's one of those people that you would say, I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Because like even with Young Chris, people don't remember how dope Young Chris was. 𝗏𝗏𝗏. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is he pretty much
I'm with you there.
Is he followed Chris's cadence, just did his own thing with it. Lo and behold, young Chris had bars. Still got bars.
Yeah.
But he
great.
He could be in that conversation as well. As far as artists who may not get their flowers or who people don't check for like that, because I mean, dude is still dope. Simple as that. But definitely give props to Skyzoo. He's a dope artist. He's an artist, and just is what it is. Unfortunately, he's just in that lane where a lot of people don't get to hear him like they should.
Before I come to Jay Moore, from a legacy time frame standpoint, to give y'all a reference, Thank Me Later by Drake came out in 2010. We can definitely have a legacy conversation about him in 2021. So just for reference. More jump in there.
Well, I think this is the crazy thing about hip hop. When we talk about legacies, a lot of times they're a legacy that have been solidified by the time an artist gets to be 25. Now I'm taking it back to, say, the golden era. Depending on how you feel and what a golden era is. But when you talk about artists like Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, even our conversation, about Run DMC and the Fat Boys from a few weeks ago, most of these guys had made, I'll throw LL Cool J in there. They had made their career defining moves musically by the time they were 25. So it sounds crazy to say, oh, well, this, here's somebody who's our age and we're talking about, a legacy artist and what is their stamp in the game and how should we look at them, especially with the level of art that Skyzoo has given us, he's given, he hasn't one of those people that just disappears for 12 or 13 years and is like, hey, I'm back. No, like, he's been consistent in his releases, as not only his quality, but just as far as frequency. I think that's also something that you can play into it. With somebody like, this is the thing, a lot of times in this, I think we can kind of tie this a little bit back into our Grammy conversation, because, okay, there are people who have won Grammys and they've been the toast of the town. And you know what? We don't hear from them ever again. That Grammy, it was that Grammy, and then it was a slow decline into obscurity after that, but then there are artists like Skyzoo, somebody who the mainstream doesn't particularly know, but if you're a hip hop junkie, you have a genuine appreciation for, and he's able to, as far as I know, eat off of rap, so for him, that might be his Grammy, the fact that he can live off of music. Maybe he's not driving around in Benzes and Rolls Royces or whatever, but the fact that he can devote
comfortable,
he can devote his life to his art, for some people, that's the Grammy. The fact that you can devote your life to your art and not have to do something else, to maintain, make sure you can feed your kids and keep yourself, sheltered. I know for most people I know who are really artists, like that's the goal. That is the reward. That's the ultimate, I don't know, whatever mountaintop is like, hey, can I eat off a rap? Okay, well, I've made it. Yeah. Damn a Grammy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact
that I'm not mad at that.
The Grammy is
the fact that someone like Nas has been able to not only live but thrive without a Grammy. I mean, okay, for us, what does a Grammy really mean? So Skyzoo, long story short about what I'm trying to say is he's been able to be consistent in the level and the consistency and quality of his art, but also be able to have people like us care enough about him to even talk about him and still, enjoy his records. And so I think to tie it all back, that's really the goal. Grammys are nice, but if I could have Young MC's career who won a Grammy, or I could have Skyzoo's career, which I'm going to take Skyzoo's career.
I'm 100% taking Skyzoo's career.
Stone Cold Rhyming is the first CD I ever bought. But but I'm just saying
haircut over his haircut.
Hey, at the end of the day, that brother's made a successful career off of hip hop by making dope shit. He's been consistent. And I'm a fan. I look forward to any time he drops. Sometimes you just got to give flowers to people, man. And he's one of those dudes I feel like deserves it. And I hope he continues to put out dope product, continue to advance the culture, man, because he's definitely a gem in the hip hop game for sure. Looks like if we about at
I just seen him actually make a post where he went to go check out what's my guy Westside Gunn's new store. He just opened a store in Buffalo in the mall.
Yeah,
I heard about
that. Skyzoo posted him. He must get on the plane to go support his guy, Westside Gunn. So as you can see, he has connects in the cats that everybody else might know about with Skyzoo, whether they know about him or not.
All right.
Thing about that Westside Gunn connection is he was one of the first people to feature Westside Gunn. Skyzoo was. So you could tell they created a bond early. Like that's a huge sign of respect for Griselda to be where they are now, and him to still be cool with Westside Gunn and Biddy and all them cats. They still show love. I mean, so and shout out to Westside Gunn as well for bringing the first black-owned art gallery / store to the Buffalo area, man, in the mall. Like he did it back at the crib where he's from. It's black-owned. So salute to that brother, man, for putting that back in the Buffalo area. I think that's extremely dope. And I noticed the line. Everybody talk about the nostalgia with Griselda. I saw a lot of 20 and 22-year-old white kids in that line to get into that store. So, they're doing something right. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So before we get out of here, is there anything I missed? Anything else y'all want to say before we rock out?
Yeah. Green Newport boxes can make a finger talk. Go listen to Krylon by Skyzoo. If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. And we invite you to join our hip hop community on Discord. Access it by going to newoldheads.com/community for talks on hip hop, sports, music, news, and everything else.